a hybrid recruitment process would also be a possibility for the city council, whereby some aspects of the recruitment process are left in the hands of the council, and others are handled by an executive search firm. The council may also wish to give consideration to selection procedures. The council could delegate responsibility of the recruitment to a committee of council members if that would be of interest. And the council could also involve other participants, as Councilmember Baca Gonzalez was highlighting. We would want to give consideration to the geographic scope of our recruitment and our venues for advertisement. Within the checklist I provided in your packet, I've set forth all of the advertising venues used during our last executive search. As Councilmember Baca Gonzalez indicated, we would want to give some consideration to our criteria for recruitment: educational background, work experience, professional and personal attributes, and then the city's objectives and priorities. Our timing would also be a consideration, and then in the event that the council desired to set some sort of a salary range, that would be a possible topic for discussion as well. Discussion of compensation levels does not need to be discussed in an open meeting.
A lot of topics there, and that's why I'm hoping we'll definitely consider on just having that as an agenda item so that we can just focus on that issue and not feel rushed in trying to, really identify something.
There's an awful lot there to identify.
Yeah. A lot of criteria. I appreciate that.
So, would it be the council's desire to discuss this further next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll talk to the county about a possible amendment of our joint work session date here.
I don't think we need a motion on that item. It's not an action item. Consideration of the ethics complaints. May I address the council for just a minute? Let me give you a little scenario of what I think and what had happened at that particular point. I think it was about, Jerod, 4 years ago, that we interviewed for a city attorney. In the advertisement, there was nothing in the advertisement stated you need to have 2 years of practicing law or being licensed in the state of Colorado for more than 2 years or up to 2 years. That was never part of the advertisement. There were 7 members on the council at that point. That was myself, Mrs. Velasquez, Mayor Garduno, Mayor Joe Riorda, I think Nancy Ellis was on it, and I think Jim Topol was on it. Was Jim Topol on it at that big time? And Liz Aragon, I think, was on it at that time. It was a 7-0 vote at that point to give Mr. Beatty the job. Jerod picked up a copy of the charter that day, went home and read it that night. Next day or so, he was down here at the City Hall to discuss it with Mayor Riorda and the present city manager, Mr. Soltis, and told him he wasn't really qualified under the conditions that were listed in the charter. And to my understanding, after visiting with Mr. Riorda told me that he told Jerod, and along with Mr. Soltis, that they could appoint him as a special counsel at that time, but to let it go, and they would retain him as a city attorney. The other 5 council members at that point, or 6 council members, were never informed by Mayor Riorda or by Jim Soltis that there was a problem. And I didn't know about it until the violation was submitted to us in writing by Mr. Ed Gil Del Rubio at that particular point. We knew nothing about it. I didn't at that time. I don't think Linda did. So even I think Mr. Riorda attested that at the hearing that he did not, he made that decision along with Mr. Soltis, which was satisfied me. I would, if I had known about it at that particular time, I probably would have agreed with him and said that Jerod should serve. He was the best qualified candidate at the time. He was probably the one that stood out the best of all the candidates, and I'm satisfied with Jerod, and I think he's doing an excellent job as a city attorney. And at this point, if any of the council members feel that the ethics violations or violation in any way, it was an error on my part as well as any other 7 council members who did not read the charter, and where it stated that you needed to have 2 years. It was never in the publication. I don't know that anybody else read it or didn't read it or never brought it to our attention at that time. It was a mistake on my part, and I think that Linda's as well, and the other council members, I think that they didn't know this at that particular time. I don't think the error itself is a violent violation of the ethics policy. I think it was an oversight, and that's all I can say. If the council deems necessary to hire an investigator to come in and investigate this, that's fine. You can do what you want to do. You can go to anybody you want to. You can call in attorneys from the state, the state attorney general's office, anybody you want. If that's what you want to do, do it. But I think we're wasting a lot of time with these petty violations, ethics violations that mean nothing. Sorry, but I had to express myself. If comments from any council member, go ahead and speak.
And I do have some comments. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm disappointed with the analysis that was provided to us. As with past complaints, we've been told, excuse me, that these 2 fail to allege facts sufficient to constitute a violation of the Code of Ethics. What troubles me most is the scant attention that was paid to specific requirements in our city charter. Why do we have a city charter if we aren't going to follow it? How can we pick? How can we pick and choose the provisions of the charter that we are going to follow? And obviously, from the analysis provided to us, there was some investigation of the allegations conducted by council. There are references to information having been provided by 2 individuals. That tells me if questions had to be asked of these individuals, I believe there are legitimate concerns in the minds of those attorneys that the ethics complaints have merit and should be more fully investigated. For these reasons, I cannot vote to dismiss the complaints. I am going to underscore that I believe when we took that oath of office, abiding by the city charter was not optional. If we do not enforce that city charter, we need to get rid of it and allow Trinidad to become subject to the statewide rules and regulations that are inherent in Colorado statutory law. It is a privilege to be able to be a home rule chartered city. And if we are not going to abide by our city charter, we are treading on perilous grounds.